Welcome to the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society. Welcome to ITSPmagazine. Knowledge is power, now more than ever.
Marco,
Sean,
it's that season.
Yeah, road trip.
Road trip season. Chats on the road where we see our friends, the cows.
Oh yeah.
Hey, what are you saying?
Wait.
Yeah. Which are we on?
Let's take it. Let's take two.
We don't mind. We know you didn't
I've
mean
been
us.
called worse, Mark.
Or you explain. Come on.
I'll explain
the cow thing.
It's an important thing. So we have the chance, you and I, to drive the coast of California from Los Angeles to San Francisco to meet our real friends, Britta and Linda. For those watching, you can actually see, and you've heard them now as well. We were not calling them cows, but on our way up the coast, there are many fields, many farms, many cows, and one of the fields we actually stopped by and made some friends with the cows. They're in one of our chats on the roads from one of our early episodes many years ago. So I don't know if hopefully we'll get to visit those cows again, and we'll see if they remember us.
That was the reference. That was
a reference. Yeah,
we
definitely
had
not, our RSA friends.
We filmed from the cow field. We filmed from the beach. We had horses going behind us. So, it's a great adventure and always a lot of fun. It marks, actually, I have to say, the 8 consecutive years that we're media partner and we're covering RSA Conference. Sean has been doing that way longer than that, but as ITSPmagazine, that's where we are. And I think every single time we get to talk to you. So great event.
I know.
Thank you. We're happy to chat to you. We were just saying it's always one of our favorite times of year when we get to talk to all of our lovely media friends. So thank you for having us.
This is good, and we're thrilled to have you on. And it's the tradition to kick off our coverage, and we're going to have a lot up our sleeves this year, and we're going to be part of the broadcast alley, talking to folks and streaming stuff as well. So that's just one very small piece of everything that's going on.
Yeah, you're in a great location though with Broadcast Alley. You're right in the thick of it, right outside the keynote room. So you have a lot of people coming and going. Yeah, fantastic.
Yep, very cool. So lots of conversations there, but we want to hear from you what's going on. So let's start. Actually, before we begin, we know you very well, but some of our guests listening may not know you yet. So a few words about your role with the RSA conference and how you see this year going. Maybe a sneak peek of what most excites you. So Britta, we'll start with you.
We're just starting with the Californians, Linda, so you're going to have to wait. Okay. So I need to do this road trip with you guys someday. I'm in Laguna Beach, so yeah, there'll be those cows will have lots of green fields on the way that you drive there with all the rain we've had.
Lots of rain.
Yeah, with the
lots of rain. Lots and lots of rain. So I am Vice President of Content and Curation with RSA Conference, which means I have the great pleasure of working with over 150 different program committee members. And they're the brains. They are the heart and soul. They're the subject matter experts who make the selections of the content that makes it onto the stage at RSA Conference, work with those speakers, go through various drafts, and the result is over 500 sessions across conference with all different learning types. So this year is exceptional. I will promise you that.
Fantastic.
A few things. Linda.
And my name is Linda Gray-Martin. I am the Senior Vice President of RSA Conference, and I am responsible for the RSA Conference event, I would say, and the fantastic team that we have working on it.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that.
Let's start with the theme.
Yeah.
The theme. So which is actually very apt. So, I think that this year's theme, Stronger Together, was really born out of our experience last year. So it was the first RSA conference since 2020. And there was just such a kind of palpable joy at everybody being back together. And I know we were all really excited about going in the first place. It was kind of an emotional thing as well, which hopefully you experience. But, we realized that there's so much power and goodness in our community, and the power really comes when we work collaboratively together. And that's where I think the theme Stronger Together really came from. And, we use a famous quote when we're talking about our theme this year, which is that alone we can do so little, and together we can do so much, from Helen Keller. And it really struck us in our hearts. It resonated with us. And, doing what this community does, protecting the world essentially from cyber threats, is best accomplished by working together. True collaboration comes from embracing a world of different approaches and new perspectives, and sharing our successes and our failures. And we're just so thrilled that the amazing speakers that Britta and team work with are willing to come forward and share those experiences. It's such a critical part of what we do. So you should see that theme woven throughout the entire event. I think people really embrace it. You do definitely see it in some of the sessions, in the keynotes, even in the expo. So yeah, it's going to be a key part of what we do this year.
And let's go to the keynotes, because those are obviously the headliners, right?
Yeah,
headliner
headliners.
speakers. What are some of the themes? You can name drop as well if you want.
Yeah, we'll do some name dropping.
But I'm interested in maybe some of the topics.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Britta and I can tag team on this, but with our keynote, we have two keynote stages. So we have our West Stage keynote and we have our South Stage keynote. The West Stage keynote tends to be for the big sponsor C-level representatives that they have speaking, as well as some of our guest speakers. We're lucky that with our sponsors, they put forward some of their real industry visionaries that I know people really love to hear and learn from. And then with our guest speakers, our goal is always to provide our attendees with insights just from creative thinkers, from thought-provoking experts, people who are just going to make us think a little bit differently, who are going to just spark a different kind of conversation. And we really work hard to try and get a great blend of speakers who we think will resonate with our community. And they're not always speakers who are cybersecurity experts, but there's usually a link. There's some relevance, to make it attractive to our attendees. So just a few people I'm going to name drop to start, and then I know Britta can sprinkle some more in as well. But so some of the guest speakers that you'll see on our West Stage this year, we have Lisa Monaco presenting, who is the US Deputy Attorney General. So we're thrilled to welcome her. We have Dr. Michio Kaku, a theoretical physicist. He spoke at RSA Conference probably 8, 9, 10 years ago at this point, and to this day remains one of our highest rated speakers. People absolutely loved him. And there's a science to what we do in cybersecurity, and he's also a hugely accomplished and fascinating person. And then a personal favorite, Eric Idle, the co-creator of Monty Python, a musician and writer, is going to be taking our keynote stage. And he's going to be someone that's embracing the Stronger Together theme. And I don't want to give away the title of his session yet, as I'm not sure we've made it public, but he is going to be talking about the power of working together, particularly with his Monty Python colleagues as they created that whole movie franchise. So we've got some great people coming onto our stage this year. And I just want to give a shout out as well to the cryptographers panel crew and the SANS panel. They presented on the West Stage for a number of years and are always firm favorites of our attendees. So we're thrilled to welcome those back too.
So that's a session you don't want to run away. You want to run to that one, right?
Very good. Very good.
Yes. Monty Python joke there. It's a good song.
Yeah, so Britta, I'm sure you have some.
Everyone's got a Monty
further.
Python joke, and that
Yeah.
is what is awesome. And truly, I mean, one of the other joys of Linda and I's jobs are getting to meet one-on-one with these folks as we tell them about our audience. And in particular on that call, Eric Idle was he understands our people. He's interested in our people, and I really think there is going to be some tremendous resonance with folks in the room. You know, you're gonna laugh, you're gonna cry. It's going to be fully consuming. The other angle of what I've always appreciated in this conversation that we have together is the emphasis that your show has on humans, the human piece of things. And you know, as we've discussed past themes, we've tried to play with, you know, the personal application and the professional application. Stronger Together certainly has both of those. But the human piece of the keynote stage that I'm also, and this is a new thing this year that we're introducing. For lack of a better term, I'll call them mini keynotes. These are the starting keynotes on Tuesday AM and PM and Wednesday AM and PM, and these will be, you know, 5 to 10 minute presentations by really interesting people. Dr. Matt Russo, who's an astrophysicist, Claire Malone, who is a science journalist, Karen Eber, who is the CEO of a company, and she'll be speaking about storytelling. And then we've got Poet Ali, who really is just the most amazingly impactful human, the language of humanity. I think each of those are going to touch people in a different way. It is going to make you think differently. And I believe collectively, again, the strength of these different perspectives, what it's going to do for our community. And then on the South stage, we've got the South keynote stage, fabulous keynoters, things from, responsible AI to Bruce Schneier is going to be addressing cybersecurity, thinking to reinvent democracy. You know, what do we do within our industry? What are things that have happened here that could be applied into looking at democracy? And it'll be provocative, as Bruce always is, and then lots of a wide cadre of things that will be covered across threat intelligence and cyber diplomacy, surviving the breach. So there is definitely something for everyone across that keynote stage.
Well, I'm gonna say something about how I've seen the conversation change, and how humanity has become part of what we thought it was going to be just a technology solving technology back in the days. And then the humanity comes in, and different level of humanity. So for us, for example, it's really hard to, I think we lost the connection here. Well, let's keep going, see if she comes back.
Humanity continues.
There you go. I said technology solving
Now
technology.
I know this will come to me. The question is coming to me.
I jinxed it. I jinxed it so bad. So let's see what happened here. But what I was saying is, you know, this thing is, when we talk about cybersecurity, society, technology, there is this thing that many times we have to think like, okay, which angle are we gonna look at this topic from, and we decide in which show it goes. Does it go into cybersecurity? Does it go in society? Does it go more in the technology conversation? And you cannot abstract from that. I mean, more and more, you bring in poets. We never talked about ethics in technology or security as we're doing now with AI and advanced technology. So is that an easy thing to do? I mean, I think I ask you this every year, but is it like a natural way that you make the selection for the theme, that you make selection for the keynote, or is planned? I mean, are you following an organic evolution of this?
What is the method to the madness, right? There's a plan, and there is the, you know, what comes through. So so the formula here, Marco, is we look carefully across, you know, where are our attendees attracted to? The scientific term for that is butts and seats. You know, what sessions are people gravitating to? What seems to be resonating? And obviously that's a moment in time. Time ticks on. what is happening in the industry that we need to be, rising up to, what sessions belong here. So we have a general plan before our call for speaker process opens. We also meet with our program committee, and we do what's called a blue sky thinking. If you were to have 12 sessions on machine learning and artificial intelligence, what topically would you expect to be across that? The reason we do that is twofold. To have a general plan, but also so that when sessions start coming in, we know where holes are. We don't get so enamored by the bright shiny object that we turn too far one direction and we miss an opportunity for another. So that's our North Star, if you will. And then we open the spigot. We open that spigot of call for speakers. This year we had over 2,400 submissions come in, which was the largest ever. And we go through those one by one. Again, this program committee, these are people with day jobs who then are spending their night and well beyond that going through these submissions, trying to select what really.
And how many of these were written by Chat GPT? Do you know that?
But we had an awesome conversation about that, and anticipating we could have even more next year. And truthfully, we've seen a couple even in past years that you could tell were computer generated.
Okay.
And it will become harder and harder to tell, right? I am super excited. Actually, we have an amazing panel on Tuesday that will look at responsible AI. I'm sure they'll touch on ChatGPT and other things. And there's more than just obviously the application of the AI. There's the ethics that goes into that. And there have been good conversations around that for a long time, and more conversations that need to happen. You'll see some phenomenal sessions across conference where there's really, because it's not black and white. There's some things that are very hard, fast, and clear, and there's others that really warrant some deep debate and discussion. And that's where RSA Conference is so important, because we do have all these different audiences. We have lawyers, we have policymakers, we have privacy folks, we have cryptographers, and that hearty, healthy conversation needs to happen so that we can get to a better place. We can keep progressing as an industry.
Yeah, and then welcome back, Linda.
I am so sorry about that. They say don't
all
ever work with children, animals, and technology, clearly. And my computer it turned itself off to make some updates. So perfect. I am sorry about that.
No, it's all good. So I want to come to you about, I think you mentioned storytelling earlier, and I'm kind of jump off the edge of the ChatGPT, because it's one thing to submit a talk, right, and get it accepted, but then you have to actually give it, right? And
True.
hopefully it's a good result, and people like it, and it gets shared widely, and people stop and think and learn. And that's kind of what our show is about, to kind of get people. We don't have the answers always, but at least think about what you're trying to accomplish. And I mean, there are plenty of conferences that get deep into how a vulnerability can be exploited, and technologies to help thwart some of the bad actors that might use those weaknesses against companies and industries and nations and whatnot. But it's really, to me, it's about the story. So connecting it to, you mentioned the different types of folks that are speaking, telling the story in a way that the legal team can understand, telling it in a way that the CEO can understand, telling it in a way that a business leader who has a team, they use the cloud and set up stuff, and they're not even aware of all the stuff that goes on in IT and deeper into the security world. So talk to me a little bit about some of the sessions, and maybe this is a good time to highlight some things where storytelling really takes center stage across everything that you've pulled together.
I can hop in here because there are two that immediately come to mind for me. And again, Sean, it would be remiss if we didn't have a conversation like this on your show, because you've done such a good job of connecting the human into the whole conversation. And this is something, for many years, we've had this conversation about communication, right? Making sure you're using the right words that resonate with the right people, saying, we suffered a breach, therefore a certain piece of our business is down. That can mean one thing. When it's listed and we're losing $6 million an hour because this is taken offline, that means something completely different to the ears that are hearing it. Those are conversations we've had for a few years. Now it's interesting because in the last little bit, storytelling and the power of storytelling really has come through. There's a session that will be delivered called Telling Fairy Tales to the Board, Turn Attack Graphs into Business Stories. And when I was talking about that, Andy Ellis was the submitter for this, and Andy and I were talking about it. And it was interesting because he's like, oh, think about Cinderella. This happens, this happens, this happens. Oh, okay, yeah, there's ways, and the reason that is effective is because of how our brains work. And that then relates to that other mini keynote that I mentioned from Karen Eber, who will actually, in 5 minutes, take you through, based on how your brain is wired, why do stories fit, resonate, process, and invoke action in a different way than any other way than you could approach it. And it's very scientific, it's very literal, it's very specific, and it is a game changer in any business conversation that you have, and will make us as cybersecurity professionals more effective. So those are two sessions, absolutely, I think that show the power of storytelling and are not to miss.
Yeah, I think another thing as well, I mean, Britta, you are so purposeful with your work on the program and the sessions, and in conjunction with our program committee, that everything that we do, it weaves together, as opposed to just being a collection of siloed sessions. There's kind of purpose behind everything, and you take a really considered look at what runs when, to make sure that people can follow their journey through the conference content in a way that's relevant to them. So that's just looking at it from another angle, I guess.
Yeah, and I think personally, we have heard a lot of stories since when we started ITSPmagazine, and we always made a point to not just give the fact, but as Britta said, deliver it in a certain way. The story is the way you deliver that. It's just not the fact itself. And I think that you guys have done an amazing job in evolving the way that the conference works. And I think many have been following in other conferences as well. I mean, I see creative things happening all the time, and not just because you have Monty Python or some other fantastic comedian, for example, on stage, because you had that as well in the past. But there is also, I think, that part of telling the beginning of the story, right? Sean and I call it the origin story when we talk with the company for the first time. And I know that you guys focus a lot on what is up and coming. We have the Sandbox, you have the Innovation Sandbox, the Launchpad, and then you also talk, and we will have an episode about this, about the college day and the security scholars and so forth. So can both of you maybe touch a little bit on, is there anything new that you're very excited about? And what is the role of bringing the new kids on the big stage?
Yeah, I mean, the new kids, as we say, because we're at that age where we can call them kids, is so important. And the beauty of the Scholar Program, and I'm not going to steal Cecilia's thunder here, is that we work with the universities across the US to bring kind of their top talented students to be part of the Scholar Program, and they just get such an indoctrination into the industry. They get to meet some of the industry rock stars, and other people who are likely going to be by their sides as they go through their careers. And there's a lot of power in that, I think. And on the kind of industry rock stars and the people that have been in the industry for a while, they love to be involved in it. They love, in the kind of stages of the career that they're at, to be nurturing these next generation students that are basically going to be running the world in a few years. So it's a great program. So thank you for highlighting that.
Yeah, and I appreciate you highlighting this, because I think, again, to the Stronger Together community, all of us have something to contribute. These students have really good innovative ideas. There'll be a poster session where there'll be 4 of them that are selected to actually present some new innovative ideas. But you cycle all the way through that to folks who are perhaps on the other end of their career, who are very important,
Right.
people in our audience at RSA conference. They are really good, incredible people who want to give back. And the mentoring that you see happening, there's a dinner that happens for the scholars. There's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes of RSA conference that the regular attendee maybe isn't exposed to, but the goodness that happens with the mentoring there, with the care, with the I'm going to follow up with you in a month, in 2 months, in a year. Those connections are amazing. And that's we're talking about students with people on the other end of their career. There's every individual, every place in the middle that you see having those conversations, and birds of a feather, right? In learning labs, huddled together in a corner of the Moscone Center, working together, squealing with delight when they see each other. And that over and over and over, that's the humanity and the goodness and the community and the difference that we make when we do gather together. And I come into RSA conference tired because I've been working so hard, and I leave elated and on a high, and just completely, my cup is full to overflow.
Yep, I totally get it. And there was just one other thing I wanted to highlight on that vein. So we're trying something new this year, kind of in the spirit of helping people make connections, potential kind of lifelong friendships and mentorship opportunities. The night before RSA conference, on the Sunday night, we're hosting a kind of fun, informal reception for people that have either never been to RSA conference before, so they're kind of first timers, along with people in our Loyalty Plus program who are people who have attended 5 or more RSA conferences. And we thought there'd be some goodness in bringing these 2 groups together. Because oh, thank you. Well, I'm really interested to. I really hope it goes the way we want it to. But RSA conference is big. We know that there's a lot going on. If you're there on your own for the first time, I'm sure it's pretty overwhelming. So we thought it would be a great opportunity to kind of bring those people into the community, into the family that first night, and meet with some of these people who know RSA conference like the back of their hands and want to help people. I do find that our community really is there for each other. They want to help people. And the beauty of doing this on the Sunday night is that if you haven't been to RSA conference before, hopefully by the time you leave, you're going to be walking out of there with lifelong connections. So I just wanted to highlight that one.
No, it's fantastic. I'm glad you did. And I don't know if one of you can also highlight the track inclusive security, because it seems like it's also a way
I would love to.
Yeah, maybe Britta, take it.
Yeah. That was, again, you are so good at mining the gems of the agenda of conference. So inclusive security is happening on Wednesday. And it's a collection of sessions that are meant to really explore, what does the workforce of 2050 look like, and how are we going to get there? It'll model there'll be some very interesting practitioners with programs being put in place now, things from how job descriptions are being rewritten, and how does that help you to recruit differently? How are internships executed so that you can progress someone quickly along a path and expose them to different things? And then right smack in the middle of that inclusive security track is something I'm super grateful as part of RSA conference, which is the Gula Tech Foundation. They will be awarding $1 million in grants. Their grant focus this year is on neurodiversity, and it will be some very worthy, very interesting recipients, and that will be announced live on Wednesday at RSA conference.
Nice. A few bucks to play with.
Yeah, well, and you know what I very much appreciate about Ron and Cindy's approach with their foundation is it's not just the bucks and good luck, hope you're successful, but Cindy in particular, who has tremendous expertise with the marketing, with the organization, with all of that, she gets in and works with them. So it's you've got our money and you've got our, call it sweat equity, call it what you will, but she
Commitment,
works
yeah.
with those folks to help them with success, which to me is, probably even more valuable than the dollars that are thrown there. So two incredibly great people doing very significant work. So we're honored to have that at RSA Conference.
I love it. I love it. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, is there anything new? So for the folks who have been there, the loyalty plus folks that have been there forever,
Yeah.
there's no way getting around the energy, right? So you're going to get the energy, you're going to get the passion, you're going to see your friends, you're going to see them in the hall, you're going to run, give them a big hug. All that's there. The sessions are going to be there to enjoy as well. But is there anything else that kind of stands out as we're doing something a little different this year? Pay attention because this is going to be really cool. And I know you've covered a couple, but anything else?
Yeah, we have covered a couple. And Britta, I don't know if this got covered when I had my little blip. Did you talk about Launchpad coming back?
No, but I think Marco had mentioned it, but do you want to cover that? And then I've got some ideas too.
Yeah, sure. So, we've already talked about a couple of things. But one thing I wanted to highlight was that RSAC Launchpad is back again this year, part of our innovation programming. And again, I'm sure Cecilia will dig into this when she has the opportunity to talk to you. But we love this one. So it's for earlier stage startups than our Innovation Sandbox program. And it gives three companies the chance to pitch to a panel of VCs, so Shark Tank style. The ultimate goal is for one of them to be crowned the winner, and their prize is to get strategic advice from this panel, just to inform them as they move through the next stages of their company. And it's an hour in length, and it's just always such a fun, inspiring session. I think our innovation programs are popular anyway because I think people just really enjoy seeing what's coming. Who are some of these new up and coming companies, and I think Launchpad is a shining example of that. So we are thrilled to bring that one back.
Indeed,
I love it. And Dragon's Den for the English, or maybe more Irish and English.
Yeah, you're right. Dragon's Den. I was going American with my Shark Tank reference, but
there you go. But we have Eric.
Your accent gave you away there, Linda. Right? Yeah. So, and then Sandbox is not new, but every year Sandbox feels different. And even some of our Loyalty Plus folks may not have found their way into Sandbox. So we, in addition to programming changes, we do some campus changes every year. We look very carefully at the flow, the experience. How does our audience best have the best week possible? So you'll see some of those things that are definitely changes. But in the Sandbox, which will be right alongside our South Stage keynote room, so we've tried to optimize the space flow for you there. There'll be things happening in the Sandbox, and there'll be a variety of changes daily, even in the Sandbox. And then there will be pieces of the Sandbox that appear elsewhere across the campus. So these surprise moments that you will run into that I think will be super interesting from that great Sandbox community, I think will be very enjoyable. And then in your area of the campus, right there on West Level 1, there will be a very interesting interactive art installation. And I will not say more, but
Britta,
it will allow you to express yourself individually. And then you will also see how you are part of a community as well. So to our Stronger Together theme, you will see art created before your eyes that you will be part of all week long. And it's going to be right in your neighborhood, gentlemen. So you'll enjoy that.
Nice. We'll get to see the art form in front of us.
You will. You will.
Nice one. So talking about Stronger Together, we wouldn't have an industry if we didn't have people doing research and finding the hard solutions to the hard problems. And so we talked a bit about the Innovation Sandbox and the Launchpad and some of those early stage, but there are companies small to large, local to global. Tell us a little bit about the Expo, and maybe, I don't know how many folks are participating. Are there I don't know if you categorize them, just anything
Yeah.
that kind of help describe what people can experience.
Yeah,
There in
so
the
I
hall.
can definitely start on this one. So we are going to have around 520 vendors in our expo this year, and this is just in the main expo. We also have our early stage expo for kind of very, very young companies that's up in our Sandbox area. But in the main expo halls, which kind of flows between Moscone North and South, yep, we have around 520 vendors, and that's split between kind of the larger sponsors and then a lot of smaller companies as well. So both ends of the building tend to be as popular as each other. I think people love to see the big sponsors and the big names there, but they also like to see who's up and coming, who are the smaller companies around the outside of the expo, what are new up and coming products. So I think there'll be a lot of familiar elements within the expo. We have 2 dedicated receptions in there. So our welcome reception is always in there, as well as our expo hall. So I think it's really, really important that the vendors and our partners have dedicated time with our attendees. But we also have briefing center sessions in there. There are an amount of attendee activations in there. So kind of similar to what Britta was telling you, and I don't want to share all the details. So we have to leave some things to surprise and delight. But yeah, I think there'll be a lot of familiar elements within the expo, and it's always buzzing in there. It's busy, but it's great. And, the conversations are fantastic, and you just get such a vibe of excitement when you go into the expo.
So there is a lot going on, and Britta, I'm going to pass it to you probably with this, but I'm thinking people are listening right now, as we mentioned at the beginning. Some don't know who you are. Some it's going to be the first time that they go there. Some the second. Some much more often. And I can say it's overwhelming. I mean, it is. It's like you're going not to a concert. You have 2 stages. You're going to Coachella. You have 5 stages.
You're Coachella, man. Exactly.
You have to decide,
California,
right? So,
and you got to go there, right? Yeah.
And then you got bookstores. You got everything that happened outside. Also, the west, the north, the south, Moscone. A couple of advice from you, maybe to if you're a first timer, where do you go? How you make the decision to go around? I mean, I love the fact that you're having a first timer get with the one that have been there with a lot of experience, but some are not going to do that. Some are just going to go, all right, I'm here. What do I do?
I know.
Parachute in and
I got
show
my
up.
badge.
Yeah.
Now
Well, I mean, so we do a webcast as well in advance for people that is primarily targeted at people that have never been before, but of course anybody can come, where our team just goes through some of the kind of more operational, logistical information and offers some tips and techniques about how to survive the week. But I think one thing Britta and I always advise people, even if it's 2 days before, just try and put a little bit of a plan together so that when you're there, you know what you want to do, even if it changes because you've met somebody who's you want to talk to more and you end up going to sessions together, whatever. Just try and come with a plan in advance, because I think it's going to really help you focus on the content that you want to see, the vendors that you want to meet with. We have reserve a seat functionality for our sessions, so you can book places in advance for the sessions you really want to go to. I wouldn't leave that quite so much to the last minute, because we do get really full sessions, but just even if it's just an hour, spend an hour planning your time.
I like the parallel to Coachella, though, because there are some known name bands that will be on our stage, Eric Idle. There are some not as known bands that are really cool, up and comers. That's ISB. That's the get around to the other sessions. And any good Coachella attendee, you have a plan. You know what time the band's going to be on the stage. You know which band. You know which stage they're going to be on. You wear comfortable shoes. You make sure you have your hydration. You have your meeting points with your friends. So it's all the same ways you would attack something that you're super excited about. You know there's going to be a whole lot going on. You go into it with a game plan, and you go in with some flexibility too. Javier, this is my primary that I want. Here's a secondary. Maybe you have a conversation at your office because you're the one of the team that gets to go this year. Find out the interests of other folks so that you can come back. Every presentation, is geared toward, here's application, here's steps you should take away from this. There's great notes. All of that material is in our library. You can see most of those slides before the session even, so you can prep going in, should you be so inclined. So have a plan, have a backup plan, and know how to represent your audience, your coworkers, so that you can come away from it deeply impacted.
And bring
Choose
comfortable
wisely.
shoes.
Comfy
Yes.
shoes,
Bring
yes.
comfy shoes. Bring drink lots of water.
Definitely do that. And not everybody is comfortable being outgoing and gregarious and connecting. I'm quite shy myself, funny enough, but I find that if you can make a connection with somebody that you share some passions with or some interest in, networking or risk management or I don't know, cryptography or whatever the topic is, right? Or AI and ethics, whatever you're going to kind of rally around, you'll likely encounter somebody else like you that you can have
You
a
will.
conversation with and make a friend and experience the conference together.
And
Yeah.
you're going to find we work very hard to try to help, because Sean, you are not unique. There are many just like you who really want to have a conversation, but you're a little guarded in striking it up. So we will have some visual ways of helping you to help people know what you're interested in. We'll obviously have some content things where you gravitate together and find each other. So we work really hard to try to figure out how do we best help you maximize your experience that week, make connections, and hopefully create an environment where you're comfortable doing so. So there'll be surprises. There'll be lots of fun things. There are yet to be announced items that we haven't covered here. So go to the RSA conference page, watch our social, because there's still much fun in store that will be announced over the coming weeks.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to reach out to any of our team. There's, our team stand out quite well on site. We should be
We're all
easily
dressed the same.
recognized. Yeah, we should be easily recognizable. And every single person on our team cares about everybody having a great experience. So anything we can do to help, we would personally be delighted to talk to anybody. So
Yep.
make sure
Love
you
it.
reach out.
And speaking of surprises, so we tried to wrestle secrets out of you, and we couldn't do it, but we will get those secrets on an upcoming episode.
He says in an
with
evil
Ciappelli.
voice.
That's right. So we don't know what the next announcements are yet, but we will very soon when we get to chat with Cecilia. And I want to let everybody know that the RSAC team is incredible this year, as they are every year, and we're lining up even more conversations with some keynotes and other speakers and panelists and other interesting folks on topics that we care about and we think our audience would like to hear. Anything at the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society. It's a small world, that space where that intersection is. So by all means, stay tuned to those conversations. Hopefully they'll inspire you to visit the keynotes of the people that we get to chat with in the sessions that we share with you through those conversations. And it's not just Marco and I this year. We have a number of our hosts that are going to be on site.
Spill the beans.
You have some great hosts. Yes.
I know. And the shows are growing.
Team.
We have Alyssa
We're
Miller,
bringing
Philip
some
Wiley.
with us.
Yeah, Alyssa Miller, Philip Wiley, Chloe Mustagi, and MK Palmore. He just signed up a new show with us, and so he's going to be there, all about leadership. And probably a couple more coming. Am I missing somebody, Marco? I'm in trouble if I miss
Ben Schemler from
right.
Tech Done Different, and then maybe a few more. So we're not coming alone.
So you have surprises too, and many of those folks are speaking, and they're brilliant and wonderful and awesome perspectives. So
and each one has a different perspective. That's the key. You can talk about the same topic, but you can look at it from a different angle, and that's what I love about
that's important.
Yeah, that's
important. So we are incredibly excited, and I don't know. It's like, honestly, it's a tradition. I look forward to this conversation. I'm so happy. I love it.
Oh, I know. It makes me excited seeing you guys because it feels like it's close. I mean, we're going to be there on site in a month.
Yeah.
How
That's it.
quickly does a month
It
go
puts
by?
smiles and wrinkles at the same. Oh no, it's coming.
All at the same time. All at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Super
And
fun.
I will be in black and white there too. I don't know how, but I will.
Well, I recognize him if it's not in black and white.
Well, I'm going to be in monochrome,
Aha.
Oh,
multi-shaded. No, but yeah, regardless of how we arrive and how many cows we see along the way, I'm definitely excited to continue our tradition of chats on the road, and thrilled to kick it off with you this year. Excited to see everybody up there. Excited to have our network hosts join us and participate and capture some of the great stories from people on the conference floor who perhaps didn't get a speaking spot but have interesting things to say as well. And of course, all the sessions, definitely worth checking them out. So reserve a seat.
Reserve a seat.
Use that
For the ones
Use
you
that
really want to be
function.
at, for sure, reserve a seat.
Exactly.
But if you can't get into it, do not fear. There's a wait queue. So if it's super important, be in the wait queue. We're doing our very best with the session, with the rooms and the shifting of things, and we want everyone to be happy and get the most out of it.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Well, Britta, Linda, a pleasure chatting with you. Everybody, get your passes. That's the most important thing. Can't attend if you don't have the pass. So get the pass. Book your sessions. Stay tuned for new announcements coming soon. Stay tuned for stories from us. And hopefully we'll see everybody up in San Francisco.
thank you.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you learned something new and this story made you think, then share ITSPmagazine with your friends, family, and colleagues. If you represent a company and wish to associate your brand with our conversations, sponsor one or more of our columns. We hope you will come back for more stories and follow us on our journey. You can always find us at the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society.